And I want to thank Tom and ICS Village for inviting Garland Technology today to participate this year. So I'm going to be speaking today about the importance of packet level visibility. So let me first introduce myself, Chris Bihary from Garland Technology. I'm the CEO and co-founder. And Garland is based out of Garland, Texas, so that's where the name came from. So we are a US-based manufacturer that employs over 50 high-tech folks who specialize in the IT and ICS industry. So we have offices in Buffalo, New York, originally Garland, Texas, now northern Dallas, and we also have folks in London, Warsaw, Poland, and Sydney, Australia. So it's a pleasure to be here today, and I'm excited to introduce everybody to our technology and how we are part of helping critical infrastructures. So first of all, the company manufactures technology that's called network taps. And a network tap helps computer networks and security professionals to be able to secure the network. But before we get into that, I want to go over a couple items because I believe it's very important that we allow you to help relate it to every day-to-day life. So a couple things is I've been in the industry for over 30 years now. And when I first got into IT, I was involved with deploying 911 systems. So this really, got me into kind of the first critical infrastructure environments. And when deploying county-wide 911 systems, it was very critical to set up all the computer networks, wide area networks, to interconnect police and fire, as well as connecting to the vehicles and monitoring. And obviously, we all know 911 is very critical. So for us, we had to make sure that everything was implemented in a way that was fault tolerant, that was available 100% of the time, so that 99.999%. I don't know if anybody recalls, but we used to install tandems, which eventually got purchased by Compact, and those were fully redundant systems that 911 systems would run off of. So, ensuring that, when you picked up the phone, called 911, that someone would be able to answer and help you. So for me, the critical infrastructure has really been really embedded in my career for over 30 years now. And my partner in crime, Jerry Dillard, is our CTO and co-founder. He also has some history in critical infrastructure when he got into, he's been in the industry about 35, 40 years now, and he did work on fighter jets. So he actually developed products that would be put into the fighter jet. So obviously, when you think about Jerry and my background, this has really been, part of our DNA ever since we got into computer technology. So for us, when you look at 911 facilities, when you look at obviously fighter jets, anything we do within these environments is absolutely critical and crucial to success. So now talking about today, I think it's important that we kind of look at everyday life, right? So when you look at a child washing their hands, and you start thinking about where's the tap water come from, right? And water treatment plants, and this is a critical infrastructure environment. So again, you wake up, you're washing your hands, or you wake up and what do? You turn on the lights. So again, we see this every day, that utilities and where's your electricity coming from? Is it nuclear plant or gas? And so for us, the utility sector, it's critical, right? We must look at how can we secure this and protect it. This also falls into manufacturing. So luckily today I didn't have a headache, so I didn't have to take an aspirin. But when you wake up in the morning and you do have a headache and you're taking the aspirin, that's being manufactured by some pharmaceutical company. So these manufacturing environments, again, critical infrastructure. I don't don't know about you, but every year in Buffalo, New York, fall time, September, October is apple picking. And when you're looking at food that you're eating today, you're looking at, again, critical infrastructure, because a lot of this stuff's being automated now. A lot of this stuff is being connected to the internet. It's not like in the old days when everything was separated, right? So you had separate networks that weren't connected to the internet and having the ability to be hacked. But now when you look at all the automation happening throughout the food industry, everything's being distributed, pesticides, and the well-being of the farming is now being automated, which is, again, a potential for somebody having the ability to hack. So traditionally, as I mentioned, a lot of the environments were siloed, so they were segmented and not connected. So it was a lot easier to maintain that. So it really came down to more physical security. So you had your fence, you had an alarm system, you had your camera systems. You would protect these environments by putting in physical security measures. But those times have changed now. We're looking at new cybersecurity technologies and threats. Everything going mobile, being connected to the internet, being connected to just an expanded multiple sites, and this really has changed the entire environment. And this is obviously why we're here today, right? To talk about how do we look at these challenges, and how do we help create some best practices to ensure that we're going to be able to protect these environments and make sure that we secure them. So these changes are very important, and it's our job to kind of figure out how can we stop these vulnerabilities from coming in. And the bad actors here are very active. So we see a lot of reports, and we see day to day of what's being hacked and where the troubles are. So when you look at the news, you look at the intelligence reports, it's just constant, right? So one of the things that we do is look at seeing how we can team up with some key technologies in the industry to help secure these environments. So one of the best ways to do that is to invest in security tools. So Dragos, Fortinet, Nozomi, Tenable, a lot of these companies that you see here on the screen today have developed technology specifically to help secure these environments. So it's important that we figure out we have technology that will detect and help you secure these environments. But some of the things you have to think about is best practice, and how do you implement these? I like to say, when you look at Garland Technology, our tagline, it's see every bit byte packet. So when you look at any computer network, be it an OT environment, critical infrastructure, the bottom line is you cannot protect what you cannot see. So it sounds pretty simple, and I'd like to bring this up because what we're going to be getting into is really talking about some best practices that can really help secure these environments. So when you're looking at how do you see the network, right? How do I get access to the packets? So when you look at even at your home, you have a computer hardwired, right? You have a cable connecting your router at home or your cable modem to your computer. You have packets that are going between these two devices. So when you think about it, how do I get access to these packets, and how important is it to see every packet? Well, just like the conversation on a cell phone, right? You're trying to call somebody and you're trying to understand the situation. So I always like to use the example of, you call up your doctor or you call up, an expert, and you're trying to get a hold of them, and you don't hear every word that's happening. So if I have a problem and I'm contacting you and all you can hear is half of what I'm saying, obviously this makes it very difficult to help. So you're calling your physician, they hear half the things that you're having problems with. There's really no way to solve that. So for us, when you look at all the different security tools available in the marketplace, as I showed you before, like Dragos and Fortinet and Nozomi, these tools, in order to do their job, need to see the full conversation on your computer network. So just like these folks you see on the screen here, if they can't hear each other, if you can't hear the complete conversation, how do you really know what's going on? So, this is a, very simple problem that can be solved through some best practices that critical infrastructures need to consider to implement, within all their networks. So packet visibility. So again, when you have two network devices, you want to be able to see everything that's happening. So on a network, think of it like a conversation. You have your computer at home, you have your router, it's connected by a wire. Your router talks to the PC, your PC talks to the router. So when I want to implement and install a security tool within my network, how do I do that? So there's a couple ways to get this, what I'm calling packet level data, to all these different security tools. So one of the methodologies is within switches and routers in your network, which your network traffic runs over. They have what's called span ports. So these are mirrored ports on a switch or router that allow you to copy some packets from that switch over to your security tools. And this is a pretty standard practice. And when I talk to people about this, it's so critical that they understand that they're actually creating a vulnerable, hackable location. And they're also not going to be able to hear the full conversation when utilizing this type of technology off a switch or router. So again, a span port copies or gives you the ability to set up a port to get a copy of the traffic from your network. And what happens is if that switch or router is busy, when you're doing mirrored traffic, you can actually drop traffic and drop the conversation. So as I saying earlier, you purchase security tools to monitor your network, but if you're not sending every packet to these devices, there's no way that they can alert you and secure the network properly. So when using a mirrored port, again, you can drop packets, and you can also, these ports are also bi-directional. So it also provides an avenue to have ability to hack into the network as well. So these are blind spots within your network. And the good news is there's some technology that's very simple, hardware based, that allows you to 100% guarantee that you can get every packet from the wire. So today, I'm really focusing on how do you properly instrument your tools so you can properly monitor and secure these critical environments. And a simple best practice is to implement what's called a wiretap. So this allows you to provide the ability to connect up to your network and 100% guarantee that every packet that is flowing on your network will be sent over to your security tools. So here's a quick diagram of showing an example of how this works. So by inserting a network tap, and one thing that I mentioned is the ability to come back into the network. So when we have a implementation of a wiretap, we're connecting up to network devices, and we copy all the traffic over to the monitoring tools. What's very important when we actually do this, We also introduced the ability, what's called a data diode. So when we copy the traffic to a monitoring port to, let's say, a Nozomi box or a ForwardNet box or a Dragos appliance, we actually eliminate any pathway back to the live network. So, one of the things that kept our critical infrastructure so secure for such a long time is that it was isolated. So one of the things that a data diode network tap can do is provide isolation. So it allows you to copy an entire conversation from the live network traffic and allow you to send that over to your security tools, but do it in a way that's a unidirectional, one-way street, essentially. So there's no way to physically get any traffic back into that critical infrastructure. So it's important that, not only do we, see every packet that is flowing on the live network, but that you also isolate everything so no one has the ability to be able to hack that. So when you look at the quality of taps, when you look at implementing these, we're very proud that our company is US based. So we are a US manufacturer. Everything is designed, supported, manufactured right in northern Dallas. And this is something that is a win-win for everybody to help secure these environments. So let me show you just a really quick example of a diagram that just shows you how a wiretap works. So as I mentioned, you have two network elements that you want to tap within a network, and this could be part of your control systems. And you'll see that the router talks to the switch, and the switch talks to the router. So that's your conversation on your computer network. So two network devices talking. And what we do with the wiretap is we copy everything. So you'll see, a copy of the router talking to the switch talking to the router. And this is where we're sending it to the security tools. And this 100% guarantees that every packet will be copied over. So that means you're going to see the entire conversation. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier, the wiretap also is a data diode and isolates that traffic. So there's no way for anybody to come into the live network. So there's no way to inject or come back into the conversation between the switch and router. So again, we're physically isolating all this, which again is simple but very powerful, because the minute we physically isolate that, there is no way that anything can come through to your critical infrastructure. And again, this is something that is designed and manufactured right here in the US. So I know that we only had 30 minutes today, and so I wanted to make sure we ran through that. And as closing, just wanted to talk for a couple minutes. And number one, I'm sure you've seen this on some menus and restaurants these days. But if you want, you could take your camera, take a picture of the QR code, and link in with me. And for me, this is so important to talk about, because a lot of times you see, and this is in IT as well, not just for ICSs. There's a lot of talk about what security tools to use, how many security tools do I need to use, how do I implement it? And what we specialize in is really the foundation, is to insert a wiretap technology that, one, delivers every single packet to your security tools, isolates it. So one, you see everything, we isolate the network, and we provide the ability to capture this traffic. Now, these are also very challenging environments. So when you look at deploying these environments, we find that you run into challenges of having DC power, having heat restrictions, having environments that aren't necessarily like a traditional data center. So one of the things we've done the last couple of years is to develop products that allow you to properly instrument and deploy these security tools throughout the network, handling these challenges. So, not only is critical infrastructure on land, it's on water. So, we also deal with securing maritime environments, so ships and control systems for ships. We also get involved in trains. So, what's on train systems now? You have the control systems for the train. You also have the passenger network. So these are also very critical, unique environments that are connected up by networks. So these networks have to be monitored and secured. So by utilizing technology like wiretaps, it allows you to, with a hardware solution, accomplish two major things: seeing all the data and creating essentially a physical barrier, just like putting a fence around your house. This is giving you the physical barrier to ensure that no one can come through that piece of hardware to access the network. So I hope everybody's enjoying the day. I know I was really excited to join, and really appreciate Tom inviting us. And again, the last thing to think about is, don't forget about the instrumentation of how do I protect my critical infrastructures. You need to start with seeing the packet. So simple concept, but if you walk away and you're talking to someone and maybe you're not that technical, but someone's saying, hey, we're deploying a bunch of security tools in our network, just say to them, hey, are you putting a tap in? Because that is the best way to guarantee that you can send traffic to the security tools that you're putting your investment in. So again, thank you very much. I hope everybody's having a great day. And again, connect up with me. Would love to discuss this further with you in the future.